Hello, everyone. Welcome to Painless Universal, a conversation with me, Anne Welsh. Today, I'll be talking to my special guest, Mouna. She's someone who's lived in the UK and also lived in the UK in Canada. Who lives in Canada? She's lived around the world, and one thing I really want to understand from her is how she's overcome challenges of moving. And not just that, she's also had her own personal health issue. How she's managed to deal with that personal health issue, manage a family, and still live through life each day with a bright smile. She's an amazing woman who's doing great things in advocacy work to help in the development of Africa. Meet Mouna. Okay, welcome again to Painless Universal again with conversation with myself. I'm really honored to have my friend here join me all the way from Canada, Ottawa. We knew ourselves in London and she had to move across continent, and as we women do, we always follow our husbands, and she moved across continent and I terribly miss her. She's an amazing lady, but the reason I got her on this show because her story has inspired me. It's kept me going from many, many years. And not just her story of overcoming, but her story of encouragement, of the way of using beauty to overcome your pain. I want you all to welcome my dearest Mouna. Mouna, darling, how are you?
I'm good.
Hi, everyone. Ottawa.
Still in lockdown.
Okay.
We're doing great. And finally, the summer is starting very soon. And life is going on. COVID-19 gave us a new life.
Yes. And any Black Lives Matter happening in Canada as well as it's affecting the States?
Oh, yes, no? It does. From Toronto, we have a march going on this weekend, I think, also. Mm-hmm. And we are vocal when it comes to Black Lives Matter here. We are always involved, and we're not like the States.
Yes.
It's much quieter. Canada is kind of more peaceful, but we speak up. That's a good thing. Mm-hmm. And it's a diverse country, as we know, everybody knows. It's a completely humble place when it comes to the state. North America, we call it the big brother, the big brother of the states.
Yeah,
that's how they say it.
Yeah. Okay, before we get started, I wanted you to just a little bit introduce yourself. Who is this, my dearest friend, Mouna?
Well, I'm a mother of two. I used to live in London. While I was there, I got married, met my husband from Canada. Then I decided to move. Once I had my two kids in UK, now I wanted to make sure the kids, before they reach school, to move to Canada. Now I speak several languages, so for me it was a big push for those kids, my kids, to speak all the languages that I spoken at that time. So I knew UK was limited when it comes to French. It was only one school for the French, and I wanted the kids to speak not only the French but the Spanish and Arabic, and now they want to speak Russian. I'm like, okay, great, why not? So I moved to Canada and the capital, Ottawa. Then after that, it was just life as it is. Well, of course, there was so many things happen between. Well, both of my kids, I had them as a C-section. That was a quite experience because that was my first surgeries. It started from the C-section. Then after that is another story.
Yeah, I know, and we know that story, which wasn't pleasant. But in your view, one of the things when I met you, what really captivated me was the way you always describe pain or whatever you're going through, but your outlook on life is always positive. How did you maintain it, or how do you do that? Because you've always told me, and no matter what you're going through, always have a positive outlook. And when you mean positive, also the way you look should also be fresh and welcoming. Could you explain to others who don't know what that means and how to do that, how that can change you?
To be honest, I'm going to be straightforward. There's a lot of people believe that when they have an illness is a barrier of basically the look, the way they present themselves. For me, believe it or not, a lot of people couldn't believe that I had a stomach cancer, for example. They could not believe because I was going on my life as it was, although I was going through pain every single day. So I would go to holiday with the kids, leaving my house. It was it was on point. Such as like I would make sure my face was presentable, my clothing was presentable. It was for me. It wasn't more for the people, but it was a way of saying I could not look down on myself just because I'm sick.
Yeah.
So that helped me a lot. Looking yourself in the mirror, I didn't want to see a face that was sick. So I didn't want my kids also to look at me and say, Mom is sick. That's another thing that I wanted to show them. No matter what, it was all in my mental state. I realized that I could control my way of behaving, talking, and even looking. It was so important even for myself and for my immune system and for everything to develop different way. I was I realized that when I had the stomach cancer, the tumor was there for 15 years. And I went through so many surgeries. They wasn't able to find out. But now when I sat down with specialists and all them, they said, how did you maintain to control your stress, your pain, all those through 15 years? And what we shocked is the fact that it did not grow through all this time. I believe it or not, I hide it from my own family because I didn't want them to be stressed the way I was dealing stress myself with the illness. They were dealing different way. So I said, you know what? They will stress me as my mother, my brother, sister. I could not tell. The only person who knew was my husband, and that's and I made sure I told them just 4 weeks before my surgery. My surgery. But believe it or not, being in the hospital and going through that surgery, I came out of 8 to 9 hour surgery. I had to lose an organ. Actually, they removed my stomach for 65% of my stomach due to the tumor. But I had to learn how to walk. I couldn't even walk. I couldn't even eat. So food was liquid for me. No soup, liquid. So knowing all that type of challenges and knowing there's a kids counting on me and want to see me being strong. So I did not want my kids to see me as weak or mommy basically need our help. It was the opposite. It was like, look at me. I can handle it. If I can handle it, you guys can handle anything. If I can beat cancer, you can beat cancer. So coming out of surgery, I didn't want my family or the guests or the people who come and see me as sick, facial. I was swollen, everything, but I had a makeup bag always with me. So I used to make sure that my dark circle was hidden. I didn't want food because the first thing that people don't know is they can tell a lot from the eyes. They can see the pain of the person. You can see how sick is the person. But I didn't want that pity because the more they give you pity, the more you think that you're mentally sick and you're really badly sick to that level. So to avoid to give the opportunity to people to think like that, I said, I'm going to change the scenario. I'm going to show them that I had a normal bad cold. Through all those 2 years that I was going through a hospital in and out before the surgery, I told myself I had really a bad cough, a bad cold. That's it. So I would wake up, I would put my makeup. When I say makeup, I wasn't, and I'm telling every woman, you don't have to put a full foundation and all that. As long as you can hide your dark circle. We are mothers and we do have dark circles.
That's right.
So You learn how to hide your dark circles, and a little blusher and a mascara that could do. It changed your appearance. It changed the way you pose yourself, the way you talk to people. The we say that your face is a passport,
Mm.
literally. It's your document. So the way you present is the way you can go through any airport. If you have a passport, it's the same way with human being. If you
Mm.
show yourself presentable, and people will look at you and say, you know what, this person doesn't look sick. I
Mm.
have a hard time believing that she's really sick. Let it be that. Even my specialist, my surgeon, they had a hard time believing. They told me, do you need a psychologist? Do you need therapy? And I told them, I don't think I need those, and I don't understand why would I need them.
Mm.
They said, well, you went through a major surgery and you got lucky that you didn't have any chemo or radiotherapy and all that. But what we don't understand is how did you manage
Yeah.
the stress? Because we can see when we see you come into the clinic, you don't look sick until we do the process of the scans and the blood test. We know how bad it is, your situation. But
Mm.
what do you and I told them, to be honest, I treated it like a cold. No matter what pain I was going through all those years, it was just a bad cold. If I had the fever, it was just a fever for me, not more than that. Cancer wasn't on my dictionary.
That's true.
It was like
Yes.
I was reading it through a book. It was like that. I did my research, what type it was, but it wasn't on my dictionary, my vocabulary of every day.
Mm.
People were asking me, I would say, yes, I have that type of cancer, but that's it. It was just a normal conversation, like you wouldn't say, oh, I work on that company. It,
Mm.
I made sure that people understand. The first thing that happened is when you're surrounded asking you of your illness, they have a pain that you don't even know yourself. For
Mm.
you, just by looking at you, they feel sorry, and that sorry is a chemical that's negativity without you knowing,
Yeah.
bringing on yourself. The
Yeah.
fact that they feel down for you
Are you?
is a blockage that you need to know that is a time for you to block for your own sake.
No, I
So
think that's a positive thing you're just saying there because it's very important. I felt my worst whenever I go for an appointment and the doctor will feel sorry for me. I just don't know why I felt my worst. It just brings me, if I was here, I felt that I should be limping. I felt that my illness should be worse than what it should is. And what you just said, you are absolutely right on that one. But anyway, keep going. Mm.
and then what I learned also, hiding from my family helped me a lot.
Mm.
Hiding from friends helped you a lot until you certain of the outcome of your scenario, which is either surgery or you close to the date. It's good to hide while you're doing the process of the medicals and you're going through the pain, the scans, and until they have a final decision of your outcome. It's good to hide. Why? I was the first to experience that scenario. For example, my tumor was small when I found out. It was about 2 centimeters, then it grew slowly. So 4 months before, actually 3 months before my surgery, I had a final exam and to check how big it is and if it's touching my other organs. And December 2nd, on my birthday, and I'm having the January 11th, the next, about 4 weeks later, I'm having the surgery. December 2nd, they basically measured everything, and they knew my tumor was about 4 centimeters. Now, didn't say to my siblings, none of them, not my mother, so my husband so far, and two friends, which is my closest friend was just you and another friend of mine called Omisade. So what I did is it was time for me to reveal to the family for my time of the surgery. I broke the internet, as we say. It was the phone call from left and right. Everybody was a specialist. The parents are specialists, cousins are specialists. They all have a PhD on I don't know how, on medicine, and everybody's giving you advice. I felt the pressure
Yeah.
from left and right. When I didn't feel for those 2 years I was going through the medical, I didn't feel anything. So those 4 weeks made my tumor grow from 4 to 6.5. So the doctor, while I was going through the surgery, they were shocked. They didn't understand what changed during that period of 4 weeks. They said, "What did you do? You were fine. We were managing all this time, but somehow just before your surgery, everything has changed." And I said, "I made a mistake. Literally, I made a mistake to reveal to my entire family and friends to that I was going through that." And this is the stress. Now, the stress releases type of basically molecule on your body, and it can damage you without you knowing. So when you see somebody being sad, crying, is basically bring that sadness, bring basically a molecule on yourself, and that will grow whatever you have in. The pain that you have in will get worse, and if it's a tumor, it will grow. Whether it's cyst, you name it. And then I advise, since everybody, I say to them, please keep it to yourself. When you have a pain that you're going through, now it could be marriage,
Yes.
it could be health,
Yeah.
it could be a friendship, that somebody that you are close to it. Keep it together. Wait until you finally find a solution, and then speak about it. To say, you know what, this is what I went through, and this is how I managed. But never say anything unless your partner who's aware of it. And parents, of course, they have to know, but trust me, they are the worst to feel your pain. And you won't be able to resist to see them crying every single day.
Yes. Yeah.
So you don't want that for them, but although you don't want that, it's making you sad, depressed to see your parents sad for you. Then the first thing that they will think is, oh, is my child gonna die?
That's true.
She's gonna be with kids. What's gonna happen? And for me, it was first thing I told myself is, okay, I have a cancer now. I basically I'm a mother now. I've got 2 kids. I know that we're all gonna die one day. This is what you need to tell yourself. Nobody's gonna live forever.
No.
Once you understood that bit, that one day we all gonna die, whenever it's my time, I had a belief. And as a Muslim, what I say to myself and God, I had a conversation with God, and I said, I'm ready. If it's my time, I'm ready. I'm grateful. Maybe my reason to be on earth, it was to have those 2 kids as a legacy. But if it's not my time, my hands are with you, and I will take care of myself and my body until my time comes. So it's good to be positive, but it's also God give you a body doesn't mean you have to neglect it.
Yeah.
You have to neglect mental state. No, God's telling you take care of yourself. It's basically a responsibility that we have. You should not neglect yourself. You should make sure your mental state is correct, especially if you have kids dependent on you, you have a household, and believe it or not, you have friends that rely on you also. I have friends that I don't even consider them anymore friends. We're like more like a family.
Yeah, true.
Yourself. So I know that I told also myself is one thing, and that was, I'm not alone. I know that somebody has it worse than me. Knowing that you know that somebody is worse than you, I always used to say, you know what? I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm using my fingers, my hands, my arm. I'm able to dress, to kiss my kids. I know that certain women or men don't even have that opportunity. They can't even see the kids. They are blind. They can't even touch. They don't have limbs, or, you know, you have to realize that you have to be grateful. There's so many things that you have that you don't consider, or you don't realize how grateful you need to be at those moments. So point was, I'm grateful. This is nothing and it's only temporary. That's another thing. Temporary.
Yeah.
Nothing is in life.
Yeah.
We
So
go through pains, ups and down.
I'm going to jump into it because I think your story really would encourage so many people with this way you've overcome your pain. But you used to live in the UK. We miss you dearly. And you decided to move to Canada. As a young girl watching this right now, she might be going through something similar like you yourself. Your family are all here. You decided to go to your husband who lives in Canada with his own family over there. What advice would you give a young woman who's going to about to make that decision about moving between continents to go live and settle with her husband? Advice.
First of all, you have to know what's the reason you're moving for. Is it for the husband or is it for the fact of the future that you're trying to build? Is it for the kids? For me, it was the kids. It wasn't only my husband because he could have moved to UK, but for me, it was important that I wanted my kids to grow in an environment they can speak two languages, and there has to be those two languages, French and English. So my plan was that. But then again, moving from a different country when you don't have nobody in this new place, no family, no friends, you have to start everything from zero. It was hard. You have to be really patient. There will be clashes. There will be loneliness, that's for sure. But nothing is forever. It will be all temporary. Now, the other thing also I can advise is we tend to forget our friends or our relationship that we had at the past. What I've seen is I'm not the only one who moved from continent to continent. I've seen a lot of young girls that forget or cut the relationship because they just got married, which is really wrong. You could keep your relationship with your friends that you grew up with or you had a long friendship for so many years, or even family members. And you should have time for everyone. And that should not be an excuse, the fact that you say I'm in different galaxy. That's how we say it when we're in different time zones. Straight up we say, okay, we don't live in the same continent, and there you go, I won't be able to reach you. If you really want, you can reach anytime. And keeping that relationship with my friends and with the family helped me a lot because it leveled me. I wasn't lonely anymore.
Okay,
I
so if
felt
you
that.
reach out over the phone, you mean? Okay.
Yes, and got to technology, everything was easy for me to reach out, and it was just for me a little extra work to find out the time zone. That's it at the beginning. But the other thing is independence. They need to be independent. Moving to a new country, now we live in a century that everything is accessible. For me, I didn't want to be dependent on my husband or any other people to teach me or to show me places. For me, it was my Google, my GPS, and I was getting to A to Z without any help.
Yeah.
And that independence gave me control, and he basically beat up my loneliness. The fact that at the beginning I didn't know, and I closed that door, and I said, you know what? No, London was my city. I knew from A to Z every corner, and I'm gonna do the same way. And I did the same way. I was able to adapt that to every place I go, even on holiday.
Wow. Wow.
So it was easy. I was in Dubai this summer and I didn't need any help. I was going on my GPS in my car from A to Z. When friends and family was like, you just came on holiday. How the hell you know the town? I said, we live in a century that we can read.
Yes.
You don't need anything anymore.
So it's all about empowering yourself, not come to this island or come to this different place with this your husband and your kids and feel disempowered, but find a way to empower yourself so that you could take control of things. You could be the one taking the kids to school because that would keep you busy. You could find a hobby to get going, and you could actually, do things, empower yourself, and don't sit back and just wait for him to direct you where to go, right?
Oh, definitely. is he had this wall, but I had a wall, and my wall was to connect Africa, to build and to basically have a dream to pursue. Now that everything is on the internet, I could stay home and work from my computer
Yeah.
and achieve anything that I wanted through my connections, being a consultant, working through companies and helping. I was able to do that from distance, and that helped me a lot. If God didn't create the technology, I don't know what would have done. Like, thank God that we have smart
Mm.
people that created internet for us.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Because it makes
yes,
a
and
big
I
difference.
show that, yeah, and I show my husband that I can be here taking care of the kids, but also running and taking care of other countries same time,
So
building and
how is that
developing.
going? How are you helping our continent, Africa?
To be honest, for example, we have a lot of foreign companies that in the Western world that would like to invest in our country. We are rich in mineral in Africa, in every side of Africa, in oil, in gold, and diamond. Now we live in a century that development of internet has grown a lot, for example, and tourism has grown a lot. We're trying to develop, for example, in the East Africa or in the West. To attract clients and tourists, and when it comes to even investing, building luxury hotels, for example. And not only that is to bring well-known companies like, for example, Amazon, or bringing big companies on when it comes to internet, trying to facilitate the internet like it was in Europe or even Western countries, like make sure that we want that type of life for the African continent. So what we do is we basically contact the companies, and wherever there's money, they'll all be interested.
Yeah.
And speak with the governments, and as long as you develop in the country and you bring in assets, and there's a development that can help not only the population, and we have a lot of diaspora that's coming back. They're educated, they're lawyers, some of them are doctors, some of them engineers, and they can run those companies that we bring into the continent.
Yeah,
It helps a lot when you have the diaspora that's coming back to the country. And if we have somebody like us to take care of the outside and bringing those resources to the country, the entire continent, then soon enough we're going to have the most modern cities very soon.
With the whole COVID-19, because we're coming to a close soon, though, with the whole COVID-19, what has been the learning for you? And how has Canada really helped your kids with the continuous of school? What has been your learning from this COVID? Because a lot of people have used this time at home to reflect about how life, the new way of living. What has been your reflect from your point of view?
To be honest, my situation was way different than the normal people in a country, or within the US or the Canada, or because although I went through surgery, I have an immune system that's really bad. So I had to basically control that. And thank God I had a good dietitian and a specialist that was, the minute it broke up in China in December, I was in quarantine from then. So I was staying home and I was trying to prepare myself, because whether you know or don't, it's already inside the country. And which is actually, that's what happened. There's certain people were sick from December just because they got contaminated. I prepared myself, and that helped me a lot. The fact that Canada is a place that we listen to the government. We really listen to the government, and the government provided actually the best care for the population. We were grateful. The first thing they did is closing the school. Now, closing the school was one of the first safety for those kids and the parents, but they didn't stop there. They made sure that every child has an access to the education. So they send a Chromebook for every child to basically, although you had computers, they wanted their own Chromebook that they had in school to be at home. So the parent was picking up the Chromebook for every child of household, whatever the kids you have. Now, the other thing the government did here, I was really impressed. I couldn't believe it, is the fact that no matter the household income, let's say that you were earning 500,000 a year, it didn't matter if you're rich or poor. They had an amount sent for the kids to buy a school equipment, whether the printer or books or anything, for the whole population. And that support that we get from the government, it shows that they care about the future of this country, which is those kids. They didn't want the kids to basically feel left out, or basically feel also the pain that the parents was going through, the isolation, the stress. Of course, we also take care of the kids by playing outside, and we had a lot of activity. Now, there was the school activities, but also that we had the other activities the kids had. For example, my kids does violin and piano. Now, it's not only the school that I have after classes. Everything was online, so my timetable became triple. Now, I'm not only a mother, I'm a psychiatrist, I'm a police, I'm a
You're the chef.
business, I'm a doctor, I'm a chef, you name it. I'm a teacher, assistant teacher. I was everything in the same time. But it gave us a connection that we didn't have, because our kids spend most of the time in school.
Yes, and we forget that.
Exactly. And I learned things that I didn't know for my own kids. The fact that I spend in time gave me the intellectual way, the way they think and the expression. And I was like, okay, I never seen that side of you. But because of COVID-19, now I know you. And I would like to know more of you, because they tend to close themselves and speak to the teacher when it comes to education-wise.
Yeah.
They only see us as a parent.
Yes.
But they don't see us more than that. Although we educate them, we do the homework with them. For them, you're a mom, but you're not the teacher. I can challenge the teacher when it comes to education and questioning, but you are the mom. So I let them know, I'm sorry, I'm also a teacher. I might be more educated than your own teacher.
Yeah.
I speak several languages. I might speak more language than your own teacher, which is I can teach you.
Yeah.
So they had that challenge, and they're like, okay, you know what? I have to challenge my mom now. It's not the teacher that I need to challenge. They saw me as a challenge now. So then we have a competition between us now.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be like mommy. And that was my aim, to show them that you have to be like me when it comes to education. Challenge me. And like, you know what? Why not?
Wow.
So they don't see you as a mother only. They see you as a more than that. They see you as the chef.
Yes.
Mainly the chef. And but I had to break that barrier they had, basically. And everything became soft and smooth after.
A question for you, and one of the final one is, with all this thing, before the kids were not constantly online, they were not constantly, watching the television, watching the screens. What have you done to change that? What have you done to help and protect their eyes?
To be honest, the minute I realized, because my kids were also limited when it comes to tablets and electronic, I used to monitor. They don't watch TV unless it's Sunday. I have a certain rules in my household. Now, the minute I knew that everything would be online, I said, you know what? The blue light. I studied the kids for 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks, I realized that they were tired, sleeping not properly. Also, they had a headache. And I said, you know what? I know why. I said, you know what? Let me order glasses that will protect them from the blue light. So since they basically, everything has changed. The sleep, the irritation they had on the eyes would dry, everything has changed. Since I got them the glasses, I had to protect the blue light from the kids. They were going to bed on time. Although they go to bed at 6 or 7, they still couldn't sleep until 10, because their eyes were dry and the blue light gave them a second effect, and the side effect, that was the problem. I challenged that by ordering the blue lights for the cover, and that is not only for the kids, even for myself. And since I said, you know what, this is a way of protecting my life too. I wanted to protect my eyes. The eyes is the most important things. And if we cannot do from young age for those kids, because that's the new world that we live in, everything will be electronic. And then I've seen a big difference since I ordered those glasses to protect their eyes. And they can concentrate more on study. They don't get tired because they have several teachers and several subjects. And they stay longer, when before they were going for break every 20 minutes. It's like, can I break? I'm tired, my eyes hurts. And I was like, okay, now we found a solution. Now they concentrated and they do their homework properly. And I would advise for the parents that have kids at home, even for themselves that are working from home, please protect your eyes.
That's true.
Make sure that you get lenses that you can order everywhere online. They can find them on Instagram. There's so many companies that does. Protect your eyes and your kids' eyes. Make sure, even if they're wearing already lenses and they're wearing glasses, make sure you speak to the optician and make sure that you tell them, I want a cover for the blue light. I need a lens for the blue light.
Okay.
You have to take serious those things.
As a final thing, and in summary, Mouna, I really appreciate you being here because you're a mom. You've overcome continent travel pain. You have overcome having kids pain when you had all these challenges having your children, and you just went by it. You've overcome cancer. You've overcome so many things, and you're still here looking beautiful as always. What's your final message to everyone listening today?
Don't forget yourself.
Okay.
Whatever you go through, you come first. If you're not basically putting yourself first, you cannot run a family, you cannot run a business, you cannot run anything. Anything. Yeah. You have to realize that your happiness comes first, and that's not a selfishness. That's more like being grateful for what you have. And also, do not forget yourself when it comes to your appearance. Yeah. It's something that is major. Whether you're a man, make sure you take care of your beard, your hair, and the way you dress. The little bit that the fact that you put in cologne, that can put your self-esteem up. But not only that, that will boost you for so many things. You will feel good about yourself, and those hormones release on your body. The happiness is something that people don't realize, that is something good when it comes to your immune system, when it comes to your health, the way you look at things. So I would say dress up no matter what. The minute you step out the house, dress up. Make sure like you were going for a meeting. It doesn't have to be a suit, but make sure that you put a lipstick if you're a woman. If you're a man, just you shave and make sure you look presentable. Spray a cologne. Don't just go looking like a t-shirt and a jogging. No. And that was a big thing for me. UK, we are used to that, the appearance, that we always get dressed up. That's the fashion world that we live in. But in Canada, it was a big difference for me. Yeah. People are not like that here. They're so comfortable. So I didn't want to feel that pressure of being comfortable and getting out the house with the jogging every day. Yeah. So I said, no, if I do that, I would forget myself. And I need to realize that my presentation is not for the people, but it's for me.
That's true.
And once you know that, then everything else will be fine.
Well,
remember yourself.
Thank you so much, and give you lots of love to my kids from me to them. I really look forward to catching up with you when this whole pandemic is over. I love you so much. And
we're coming.
Thank you, my darling. I will speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.